Hi everyone, welcome to Netgate Chemistry. So in the previous video we were discussing about the coordination complexes with coordination number 4 and we drawn out some of the conclusions also here, that from D0 to up till D7 configuration and also for D10 configuration the geometry is going to be tetrahedral, and for D8 and D9 configurations you have to check whether the ligand is a strong field ligand or a weak field ligand. If the ligand is strong field, it is going to cause pairing and we'll get square planar geometry, and if the ligand is a weak field ligand, then what will happen, it will not cause any pairing and leading to tetrahedral geometry, right? So we had also discussed these two cases of NiCl4 2 negative and NiCN4 2 negative, right? Now some more things we are going to observe in these two complexes. If we talk about NiCl4 2 negative complex, then here if we see number of unpaired electrons here are 2, right? Number of unpaired electrons are 2 and total spin value is half plus half, that is 1, right? So the spin value is 1 here. If we look at NiCN4 2 negative complex, then number of unpaired electrons are 0 here and total spin value is also 0. So just like these two complexes, there are so many other complexes in which we generally observe that if the ligand is a weak field ligand, it is not going to cause any pairing, and generally the complexes are high spin complexes, and their corresponding complexes which have a strong field ligand, that is going to cause pairing. Due to that, number of unpaired electrons decreases and we get low spin complexes, right? This is general concept, right? So generally complexes having weak field ligands are going to form high spin complexes, and complexes having strong field ligand, they are generally going to have low spin complexes, but this is not always the case, right? There are certain exceptions to this also, that also we are going to understand using an example. Okay, so that example we are going to discuss now, right? So the first complex which we are going to discuss now is CuCN4 2 negative. Okay, now here again Cn is a strong field ligand. Okay, this is N-1D, this is Ns, Np and Nd. Okay, here copper will be having D9 configuration, right? So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 and 9, right? Here if you see, first we'll talk about the hybridization. What will happen, see here it is a strong field ligand, Cn is a strong field ligand, so it will be having square planar geometry. Initially if you look at this complex, then we'll see that sp3 hybridization is going to happen, because see here one d orbital, one empty d orbital is not available, but because this ligand is a strong field ligand, what it will do, it will make this type of a hybridization, because this is a strong field ligand and it does not want to remain as a tetrahedral complex. So here sp2 dehybridization will take place. So number of unpaired electrons will be 1 here and total spin value will be half. Okay, why this has happened, because Cn is a strong field ligand and it does not want to remain as a tetrahedral complex. Okay, now the second case, here is CuCl4 2 negative. Here also it is a D9 configuration, Cl is a weak field ligand here. Now again N-1D subshell, Ns, Np and Nd. Okay, D9 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 and 9. Now here it is a weak field ligand, there is no such possibility of pairing even if there was a strong field ligand, right? So sp3 hybridization, and tetrahedral geometry. Here it was square planar, and this one is tetrahedral geometry. And what will happen here is that here also number of unpaired electrons will be 1 and total spin value will be half. So here this is an exception that, see, in the first case there was a strong field ligand and in the second case there was a weak field ligand, but still we are getting same spin values. And initially in the previous video we saw that generally the complexes which are square planar, they are going to cause pairing and they will be low spin complexes. Square planar are low spin complexes generally, and tetrahedral are generally high spin complexes, but there are certain exceptions which we have discussed here. Instead of having strong field and weak field ligands, these two complexes, they are having same spin values, so there is no such concept of high spin or low spin complexes because the spin values are same here. So this is a certain exceptions. Okay, so now we are going to discuss about the limitation of valence bond theory. Okay, so now we'll discuss about the limitations of valence bond theory. So the first limitation is that it cannot tell that a ligand attached to a particular metal ion in a complex is a strong field ligand or a weak field ligand, right? And why pairing is happening, that it cannot tell, right? We have discussed about the limitations in previous videos also. So these are the two major limitations of the valence bond theory, right? So after this, crystal field theory was introduced, right? Crystal field theory. And first we are going to discuss about the postulates of this theory, right? So the first postulate was that in a metal ligand interaction during a coordinate complex formation, the interactions between metal and ligand is going to be purely ionic. Okay, purely ionic interaction, or you can say predominantly ionic. Second postulate was that the ligand which is going to be attached with the metal ion, it could be divided into two categories. That is, first will be the ligand carrying negative charge, or you can say the negative ligands. They will be treated as negative point charges, right? For example, the F negative, the Cl negative, like this, right? Second category of ligands could be the ligands which are carrying lone pair and are neutral in nature, right? These are neutral ligands, so they will be treated as dipoles, right? For example, your H2O and NH3 ligands. So if we have an H2O as a ligand, then we know that oxygen will be carrying delta negative and hydrogens will be carrying delta positive charge. So this will act as a dipole, and here will be the metal ion as a positive point charge. Okay, now the third assumption, the third postulate was that there will be ionic bond will be metal and ligand. Okay, there will be ionic bond, that means there will be no concept of overlapping or the covalency. Okay, so we'll consider that the bond between metal and ligands is going to be ionic in nature and there will be no concept of overlapping between the orbitals. Now fourth postulate was that the negative end of ligand that will approach metal ion from infinity. Okay, it is going to approach the metal line from infinity. That we'll understand once we'll understand about the complex formation, right? And after that, splitting of orbitals happen, that also we are going to discuss. Okay, so these are the basic postulates given by the crystal field theory. So based on these postulates, we are going to see the splittings in various orbitals. Okay, so I think that's it for this video. In the next video, we are going to discuss about the complex formation in the octahedral complexes, right? So far that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching.